The president says stringent measures will be taken to prevent the inflow of drugs into the country. People of Ekala chant, "No garbage from Colombo," obstructing the main road. Intermittent and haphazard decisions made by officials prompt confusion in the structure of a school in Bandaravela. Hillary Clinton's road to White House appears disrupted owing to sudden illness.
Good evening and welcome to Primetime News. I'm Sandru Ferdinando.
And I'm Jitendra Gunasena. Let's now take a look at the top story for tonight. The final rites of late Most Venerable Na Uyane Arya Dhammathera, the Anunayaka of the Sri Lanka Ramanya sect, was held this evening at the parliamentary grounds with full state honours.
The cortege carrying the mortal remains of Most Venerable Na Uyane Arya Dhammathera departed from the Sri Kalyani Yoga Ashram at 1 p.m. As a cortege near the Parliament grounds, floral tributes were made from the air. President Maithripala Sirisena arrived at the Parliament grounds to pay his last respects to the late Nayaka Thera. Members of the Mahasangha representing all three sects as well as a number of politicians were present when the final rites were conducted. Born on the 24th of April 1939 in Na Uyana Kurunegala, Most Venerable Na Uyane Arya Dhammathera was one of the leading Theras of our time. He was ordained on the 27th of March 1957 under the tutelage of Vigoga Bodhirukkarama Thera. On the 15th of July 1959, the Most Venerable Thera obtained Upasampada and went on to become a scholar of Sanskrit. He was also lauded with many accolades and titles including Tripitaka, Vagishwaracharya and Mahopadhyaya.
Brought to you by
President Maithripala Sirisena addressed an event on temperance this morning.
The event was organized by the Mituru Mitro movement who engage in rehabilitating individuals who are addicted to intoxicants.
Asevanacha balanam panditanancha sevana. Pujacha pujiyanang etam mangala muttama. Boho velawata asuru karannan.
Our society has a problem identifying who to associate and who not to associate. When we take a look at the country at present, we know that there are more than 100 people dying as a result of drugs, intoxicants, arak and even smoking. We cannot, however, quantify the number of people who have taken ill because of it. There are a number of social responsibilities that we have to carry out in order to save the society from this menace. especially with regard to youth being addicted to these substances. We can see the importance of educating the society as a whole to look into matters pertaining to children. We have scheduled the necessary steps after holding discussions during the last few days at the National Security Council. This is not a task that can be carried out by the government, the military or the state sector officials alone. This is a broad responsibility of all. Let us all unite to complete this task successfully.
The President also presented the letter of appointment to retired veteran cricketer Roshan Mahanama, who named brand ambassador of the Mituru Mituru movement. A book penned by the founder of the movement, Venerable Kuppyawati Bodhananda Thera, was also presented to the President at the event.
Muslims around the world celebrate the Hajj festival today.
The annual Hajj pilgrimage also takes place during this season.
The Hajj journey is marked as one of the 5 most important responsibilities vested with the Muslim devotees. Religious activities which coincides with the 1-month pilgrimage season in Mecca ends today. It is said that this is the largest gathering of Muslims in the world every year.
The pilgrims of the Hajj festival near the Mina area today, following which they engage in the stone pelting ritual at Jamrat. They thereafter celebrated the festival, which is famously known as Eid-ul-Adha or Hajj. The pilgrims will remain here for 2 more days and leave the sacred land thereafter.
The Hajj celebration is marked by the Muslim community, with religious observances taking center stage. Religious observances were held in Colombo and various locations across the country. Visiting relatives and loved ones and also rituals surrounding sacrifice remain few of the most significant parts of the festival.
Hajj is celebrated as a festival where people unite and stand hand in hand attired in the same clothes, and this marks the equality that remains between each other. Hajj conveys the message of honoring and respecting each other despite what social status they hold.
Respectfully අපි එක එකනගේ rights ටික fulfill කරන්න ඕනේ කියලා තමයි අපිට message එක මේ hajj එකෙන් හම්බ වෙන්නේ.
Wishing the Muslim community, President Maithripala Sirisena says that the festival of Hajj symbolizes the noble human values and ideals of sacrifice. The President also notes that Hajj emphasizes the strong commitment to the Muslim faith, provides an occasion to review the pledge made to the Holy Quran and pray for peace, brotherhood and understanding among all people of the world. The President noted that in the context of Sri Lanka, which is marching towards new social transformation, the message delivered through the Hajj festival is of extreme importance. The Prime Minister in his statement issued for the Hajj festival has noted that the festival is celebrated in a true spirit of fellowship among Muslims all over the world and provides great insight into the need of reconciliation and unity. The statement further notes that Islam teaches its followers to cast aside petty differences among the faithful, to share one's resources with the less privileged, and to live in harmony with one another, adding that it is an excellent example for everyone. Also issuing a message, leader of the opposition R. Sammadan extended his wishes to all Muslims in Sri Lanka celebrating the Hajj festival. He also calls on all communities to embrace the core message of Hajj, which is an unselfish sacrifice as the country moves towards a new era.
On to more local news. Air Marshal Kapila Jayampathy has been appointed as the new commander of the Sri Lanka Air Force. Air Marshal Kapila Jayampathy, who earlier served as the Director of Operations of the Air Force, received his new appointment from President Maithripala Sirisena. Kapila Jayampathy, an old boy of Nalanda College, joined the Sri Lanka Air Force on the 5th of March 1982 as an officer cadet and was commissioned as pilot of No. 4 Squadron in 1985 and excelled as a helicopter pilot. In January 2005, he was appointed as the Defence Advisor to the Sri Lankan High Commission in Islamabad, Pakistan. The newly appointed Army Commander has obtained special training in the many countries including USA, India, China and Pakistan. In December 2009, he took over duties as the Base Commander of Sri Lanka Air Force Base in China Bay.
Residents of Ekala engaged in a protest today demanding officials to reverse a decision taken to dump garbage in the area.
A group which gathered close to the Ekala clock tower engaged in a protest for nearly 1.5 hours, obstructing the flow of traffic along the Colombo-Kurunegala main road. Our correspondent added that this prompted the motorists to use alternate routes. Making submissions during the hearing of the FR case pertaining to the garbage disposal of Meetotamulla, the Colombo Municipal Council informed the Supreme Court recently that recommendations have been made to dispose the garbage from Colombo on a private land located in Ekala.
Only the people of Ekala took to the streets today. They were not divided along party lines. If attempts were made to dump garbage here, we will ensure that every person in the Jaila electorate takes to the streets. The solution is not to dump all the garbage in Jaila. Therefore, I request all officials attached to the government to use the garbage for some project. Today we saw just a start. Discussions will be held with the relevant officials to stop the disposal of garbage in this area and to create awareness among the area residents on the efforts to stop the dumping of garbage from Colombo in Jaila. We are expressing our opposition against the disposing of garbage that we do not need. As religious leaders, we will unite and provide the leadership that is needed.
Meanwhile, residents of areas surrounding the private land which is being allocated to dump garbage say that this may result in serious health concerns.
These are lands which were used for cultivation for years. We had to abandon these lands owing to various environmental issues that cropped up. If they dump garbage, they will cause further destruction to this land, and this will cause harm to the entire village. This is not an uninhabited area. There have been days where the garbage that is in Ekala is not transported and disposed. The entire village is against the decision to dump garbage in this area. The NERD Centre has come up with a solution to this garbage issue. Why aren't projects such as these being funded and explored?
It was in 2011 that the school situated in Kabilawala North in Bandarawala was named as the secondary school of the Dharmapala Vidyalaya in Bandarawala. Before that, the school functioned as the primary section of the Dharmapala Vidyalaya. Dharmapala Vidyalaya in Bandarawala, which has 2,500 students studying in it, is a school with a history that runs back 127 years. Of the 877 schools that come under the purview of the Uva Provincial Council, Dharmapala Vidyalaya takes a forefront when it comes to academic and extracurricular activities. The school maintains a high cut-off mark when admitting students to the school following the Grade 5 scholarship exam. The problem that Dharmapala Vidyalaya is currently facing is a fine example of the fact that previous and existing governments are very well versed at creating havoc in perfectly functioning systems. It was under the 1000 secondary school program that 5 schools in Kabilawala were converted into feeder schools for the Dharmapala Vidyalaya. Accordingly, a decision was taken to stop admitting students to the primary school of Dharmapala Vidyalaya situated in Kabilawala. Subsequent to the closure of the primary section of the school, the premises was used to house these grades were converted to grades 6, 7 and 8 of the school or the school's junior section. The technical laboratory that the school received in 2013 under the 1000 secondary schools program too was set at this premises in Kabilawala North in a backdrop where this school housed only grades 6, 7 and 8. The problem that cropped up through this change was that the students from grades 9 to 13 had to travel 1.5 kilometers to use the technical laboratory set up at the junior section of the Dharmapala Vidyalaya in Kabilawala North. With the shift in power at the Uva Provincial Council, a decision was taken that dragged Dharmapala Vidyalaya into further chaos. As per this decision, yet another grade 1 class was set up at the premises where grades 6, 7 and 8 functioned. The 42 students who were admitted to this class have now been promoted to grade 2, while a new batch of 42 students were admitted to the grade 1 class this January. Accordingly, these grades 1 and 2 classes, which are operated within a building that belongs to the Dharmapala Vidyalaya Junior School, functions nameless under a separate principal and staff. The technical lab that was built at a cost of 8 million rupees consists of 62 computers and multimedia facilities. However, it has been closed for over 3 years without anyone using it. Since it is mandatory to admit all students of the 5 nurturing schools named for Dharmapala Vidyalaya to the grade 6 class of the school, it is impossible to prevent entry to Dharmapala Vidyalaya to those who pass the scholarship exam. It seems that the education and provincial authorities of the province have no concern as to where the students of the nameless school should go once they are promoted to grade 6. Are those responsible for the province's education not in a position to solve the chaotic situation that Dharmapala Vidyalaya is caught up in? Chief Minister of the Wu Province, this is over to you.
Thousands of Sri Lankans across the island suffer on a daily basis due to the lack of clean drinking water.
On day 55 of the Gammadda 100-day initiative, we at News First were able to quench the thirst of some of these individuals.
The Gammadda 100-day initiative. With the people, for the people.
The residents of Hambegamo in the Tanamalvilla Divisional Secretariat area have suffered for decades due to the lack of clean drinking water. Incidentally, it is the village of Hambegamo that records the highest number of kidney patients in Tanamalvilla. The Newsfirst Gammadda 100-day initiative commenced work on the project to ensure that these residents have a source of clean drinking water. The project will be carried out with the assistance of the Sri Lanka Navy.
සීස ගම්මැද්ද වැඩසටහන තුලින් අපිට ලැබිච්ච වාග්යක්.
The fortune we received from the Gammadda 100-day initiative does not only benefit the school, its benefits will be reaped by the entire village. We care about the children of this village and their safety, and so we felt that the school is the most ideal place to distribute water to the village. After spending 6 hours in school, the children are tired. They play and then during their interval they suddenly run to drink water. Rather than going to Hambegamo and waiting in line to purchase drinking water, you can just come here to obtain water. This is the third water project undertaken in the Tanamalvilla Divisional Secretariat area under the Gammadda 100-day initiative. The other 2 projects have already been invested with the public.
We are immensely overjoyed. If not for this project, we would have to travel 10 to 15 kilometers in search of water. Today we are free of that. We won't forget this as long as we live.
We were in dire need of water for a long period of time. People from all over made promises, but none of these promises were fulfilled. From today onwards, we can think to ourselves that our dreams have finally come true. We are immensely thankful to Sir.
No information has come to light yet over the youth that allegedly went missing after being arrested by the police for stealing a stock of paddy.
As of today, it has been 7 days since the disappearance of Gigi Gayashan. News First met with his twin brother in Colombo. The 2 of us are identical. He must be roaming about the village. I don't think that he would escape from the police. He is not a person who has the guts to do such a thing. With his disappearance during the police custody, his family accused the Hambantota police. However, the police maintains that the youth had escaped from police custody. The HQI of the Hambantota police and 5 other police officers were given temporary transfers by the police headquarters yesterday. Meanwhile, an investigation under the direct supervision of the DIG of the Southern Province is currently underway. A special police team attached to the Tangol division visited the house of the missing youth this morning to record statements.
A number of frontline politicians of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party reminded the past to those who criticized the national government.
The first national government was created in 2006. Mahinda Rajapaksa was a state leader at the time. They held a grand ceremony at Temple Trees. Malik Samaravikrama came from the UNP, while Maithripala Sirisena attended as the General Secretary of our party at the time. They created a national government. Later it got divided. That is when they appointed 19 new ministers and placed them before us. Certain SLF peers have forgotten this. The 19 included Johnston, Keheliya, Karu Jayasuriya and Bandula Gunawardena. They sat in the 2 rows in front of us in Parliament. I had to sit 2 rows behind. I was there for 25 years and I had to go sit at the back. People who had only 7 or 8 years of experience were placed ahead of us, even though we were the members of the cabinet. That was how the national government was back then. It is not suitable to talk like these things never happened. This national government is different. The leader of the state, the president, is a leader of the SLFP. The Prime Minister is the leader of the UNP. Do not think that they joined hands to rob. If they are robbing, the country will not remain silent either. Now Mahinda Rajapaksa is saying that we should dissolve the SLFP and create a party called the Sri Lanka United National Freedom Party. We have a question as to whether it is Mahinda himself who is making such statements. Who made deals with the UNP at first? Was it Maitri? No, it was Mahinda. What did he say after shaking hands with Ranil Wickremesinghe? He said that a new face was provided to the political movement in the South Asian region. Who are these individuals who are struggling, calling themselves the joint opposition? They are the people who crossed over from the UNP back then. Is Bandula Gunawardena and SLFP, or are Keheliya Rambukwella, Johnston Fernando and Gamini Lokuge? Are these people who shout together with Mahinda SLFPers?
The fire which broke out in the Vava Ihalakanda Reserve in Polpitikama last night continues to spread.
During the last few days, forest fires were reported from the wilderness areas of Hambantota, Monaragala, Canby, Badulla and Kurunagala. The fire that broke out in the protected area of Vava Ihalakanda, Ma Elia Vava, Polpitigama in the Kurunagala district last night has destroyed over 10 acres of forest cover. Evidence indicate that an area of archaeological value have also been destroyed. Authorities vested with the responsibility of dousing the fire had not arrived at the reserve. Meanwhile, the fire that spread in the Knuckles Reserve, which is declared as the 8th most important World Heritage Site, has been doused. The fire that had destroyed the Kahatagulla area was doused with the help of the Tri-Forces. Our correspondent says that parts of the Yahangala mountain has also been destroyed. According to reports, the fire has destroyed around 1,000 acres of land.
Issuing a message to mark the Hajj festival, leader of the National Unity Front, Azad Salih, says that he extends his wishes for a prosperous and a united country.
In his message, Azad Salih notes that he wishes that the people will be able to experience the freedom that prevails owing to the government of good governance, which is in stark contrast to the fear which was instilled by the previous government in the future as well. On to more local news. The joint convener of the People's Collective Movement, Saman Ratnapriya, expressed the following views.
We saw recently as to how the ministers responded to various questions raised by the media. They say that this is not something that is relevant to me. This is similar to a joke. We cannot be happy about how the ministers have been divided as well. This is a serious matter. We saw the Ministry of Highways being joined with the Ministry of Higher Education. Something that came to our minds when we saw that happening was maybe they joined these two ministries because the students who engage in higher education are on the roads all the time. That too became a joke. Since there have been such mistakes in the division of ministries, there is a serious problem in the country with regard to responsibilities in terms of development of the country. We believe that correcting this issue is a responsibility of the rulers.
The selection of winners of the short drama competition organized by the Urban Settlement Development Authority was held at the Pradeepa Hall in Maligawatta today.
The event was held under the auspices of former First Lady Hema Premadasa. The theme for this year's competition was Inner Strength or Swashakti. 20 teams participated at this competition.
And with that, we wrap up primetime news. For the News First team, I'm Sandro Ferdinando.
And I'm Jitendra Gunasena. Good night and take care.